Good morning. Thank you for joining. We've got another edition of Team Canada Tech Thursdays this morning. I do see a few people still logging in, so let's just give it a minute. And in the meantime, I will go over the housekeeping items. All attendees are in listen-only mode. As questions come up, please definitely submit those in the questions console. And if we do run out of time, we will reach out to you after the webinar to answer your questions directly. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to your speaker today, Weil Nuisri. Weil, take it away.
We're going to be talking about security threat landscape. And in our agenda today, we're going to be talking about the Cyberkill chain, the components, and to understand what are the steps the attacker will take. We're going to be talking about secplicity.org threat landscape report, which is a report that is available to you by WatchGuard. The examples of top threats of 2020, including the definitions, different type of the top attacks. We're also going to take a closer look at the total security components, how they work, and how they're going to help you to break the kill chain and protect your environment. The tips of how to enforce your security with WatchGuard solutions, the other components that you can use from WatchGuard to enforce the policies and the security that you have in your environment. And definitely at the end, we're going to have couple of minutes to take a question answer session. So let's get started here by taking a look at the Cyberkill chain. So Cyberkill chain, it's a term and an illustration here that is being created and developed by Lockheed Martin. And mainly that it shows the different steps that the attacker would take. Sometimes it's in this specific order, sometimes it is kind of skipping some of the steps or doing the same step twice. So mainly it starts with reconnaissance, weaponization, delivery, exploitation, installation, command and control, and then depending on what's the objective of the attacker, we will have the attack. So let's dive deeper into this and take a look at each one of these steps. So the first one is the reconnaissance. The idea is that that's the time the attacker is gathering information about the target. So he picked the target depending on the industry or depending on what's the hot topic at that time, trying to look at the publicly available information to find out what are the security holes that he can use. Then step 2 is the weaponization, where the attacker uses an exploit and creates a malicious payload that they can send to their victims. And usually this steps happens at the attacker side, right? So the attacker is developing that in their labs. Then step 3 is the delivery, and the attacker is going to send the malicious payload to the victim by email or other means, sometimes through a specific social media or a forum and so on. And the delivery here, it depends. Sometimes it can be directly through the email or other means. Exploitation, the actual execution of the exploit itself, which is again relevant only when the attacker uses an exploit. So an exploit, it's usually some weaknesses, security holes that in a specific application or a specific appliance that you're using or operating system that it is not known yet, or maybe it is known but you didn't patch it. The installation of the malware on the infected computer is relevant only if the attacker used the malware as part of the attack. So you can see here that there is multiple steps that's being taken so far. Even sometimes it's using the exploits, using the malware. He didn't achieve the final objective yet. The command and control, and it's actually a channel that is being created between the attacker and your environment so that they can they already gained the trust. They can go in and out from the network, collect information. Maybe they reside there for a longer time to collect more information. And at the end, that's the time that the attacker performs the steps to achieve the actual goal. So it's that maybe he's been there for months trying to find what he can actually do with the information that is available for him. Maybe can ask you for do a ransomware and ask you for money. Maybe it's using your network to attack another network and so on. So the objective, and as you can see here for us as um, security administrators, is to break this cycle and the kill chain, and trying to have a security that it is in layers. So whenever that there is a specific step that they are trying to do, which is like the delivery or the installation or the command and control, you will have a different layer that it will stop that attack. Great. Now let's take a look here at simplicity.org threat landscape report. And this website, it is actually a team of experts that work for WatchGuard at the WatchGuard Threat Lab. And they are the main task that they have is to do the research, discovery, doing the study of different type of attacks that it is collected by, and the information that's collected by WatchGuard, fireboxes, and appliances, and also having honeypots that it's gonna collect this information as well, and provide you with different type of webcasts, podcasts, and reports that it will indicate what is the trends when it comes to different type of attacks in every quarter. So let's jump here and take a look at the website itself. All right. So if you type simplicity.org, you will go to the website and you will find that you have information here that's related to the 443 podcast, which is usually they will discuss different articles, different topics that's related to security. And also there is some other daily security bites that you can watch. And the one that I wanted to show you here is the threat landscape. And if you click on that, it will take you to this site that actually is showing you the statistics of malware attacks, netware attacks that is being collected by WatchGuard team. So as you can see in here, it starts with how many malware attacks that's being blocked by WatchGuard, the malware attacks frequency that it's happened every day, every hour, every minute, and there's a malware attack every 3 seconds. You can also see the malware attacks by region. You can click on them. You can filter by country or by region or by the type of the attack, if it is a malware or network attack, and so on. You can see here that the first one that it is the Americas, which is 36% for malware attack. Then we have EMEA with 45% and APAC with 18%. One of the things that I wanted to note here, and we're going to talk about it in more details, about the known malware attack and the zero-day attack, right? So 55% of the malware was known malware. So it's something that's blocked by a signature, a pattern in a database. The zero-day attack, it is an attack that it is using the exploit or something that is not discovered yet. So it's 45% of the malware attacks is zero-day attack. Right? This is why later on I'm going to show you why do you need actually total security. It will also show you the top 10 malware attacks, and you can see that it is a mixture between viruses, malicious attacks, Trojan, exploits to a specific vulnerabilities in operating systems. And also it shows you here the network attacks. And here in total, it's around 28 every minute. And the top 10 network attacks, which is mainly it's going to be related to SQL injection, directory traversal, brute force, trying to break into your network. And also something that's available for you is the Internet Security Report, which is you can click here and you can download them. And I downloaded a copy here that I'm going to show you how it looks like. But one of the things that I wanted to note here for the Q2 report of 2020, that the zero-day malware hit a solid high of 67.2% of all the threats that we blocked. Okay? So this is very important that you will have the feature, the security services from WatchGuard, that it will block zero-day attacks. So another thing that is web application attack remain the most common widespread network exploit when it comes to the threats. Great. So let's switch back now here and let's talk about the next topic. All right, so let's take some examples here of the top threats of 2020. But before going into that, since now we took a look at the network attacks and the malware attacks. So what's the difference between? We have to understand the definition, so that we will understand how to stop it. So a network attack is an attempt to gain unauthorized access to your network, right? To steal data, to perform malicious activity. And mainly there are two types of the network attacks, a passive and active. A passive, it's the attacker will gain the access to the network and can monitor or steal the sensitive data, but without making any changes to the data. It's going to leave it intact. But the active one is not going to only get the access to your network and the data, but modify the data by deleting it, encrypting it, or use it to harm you or harm any other entity or another organization. One of the things that we have to keep in mind, and you will see that there is different type of attacks. So we have the endpoint attacks, that it is targeting the end users by having malware attacks that infecting the IT resources, the servers, the services, the network equipment, so to bring down your network. Vulnerabilities, exploits, and attacks, it's mainly related to the vulnerabilities in operating system or the application that you have. And also we have something called advanced persistent threat, which is we're going to see later on how we're going to block it. The advanced persistent threat, it can be actually a multi-layered threat. So it is a combination of different type of threats that can be a network attack, a malware, combination both. Whenever that you have a specific or one service, even if it's a security service that is trying to bring it down, it will persist on coming back again. Another thing that we saw in the report is the zero-day attack. So what does it mean, a zero-day attack? So you can see in here that we are talking about when the vulnerability is being introduced in a specific, let's say this is an operating system or vulnerability or an application vulnerability. Then we have the vulnerability is being discovered. Then it's disclosed. Then we're going to have a fix that it is provided by the operating system vendor. Then the vendor releases that fix or a patch. Then we have a patch. So the vulnerability window, it is from the time that the vulnerability is being introduced or discovered by some attacker to the time that we have a patch that we actually applied. So this is called a zero-day attack. From the time that we have the exploits being released to the time that the attack signature is being released. That's a zero-day attack. It can be used by itself to bring down your services, or it can be used to actually launch another attack. And the idea is, as you can see, because we don't have the patch for it, we don't have a signature update or a database that's being updated with that specific signature. So definitely you need another service to actually take a look at the behavior, how the process works, take a look at different type of how the process communicate with each other, and try to find out if it is actually following the rules or not. Now, when it comes to the types of cyber attacks, and I'll pick some of them to take a closer look, but I'm not gonna cover all of them. But as you can see here, and I think most of you that you heard about, phishing attacks, right? Man-in-the-middle attacks, and SQL injection threats, which is mainly to it's a network attack that it's bring down your servers or used to steal information. Distributed denial of service attack, right? So actually it started as DOS and then DDoS, so uh, to actually overwhelm your network to the point that you cannot provide services anymore. We have the cross-site scripting, the password attack, uh, AI powered attack. So AI, it's used to uh, do good, which is to provide information about how we stop the attack, but also it's being used in a harm way to actually make the attacks smarter and more dynamic and evolving. We have the drive-by attacks, the ransomware attack, and the eavesdropping attack. So these are the different type of cyber attacks. Now, also, we have types of a malware, right? So if one of the most famous one is the ransomware. Now, ransomware is a type of a malware, right? We also have worms, bugs, viruses, a Trojan horse, which is mainly it's trying to imitate another application so that it can be used to have a virus in it that it will service a specific process in there and try to bring down the service. Definitely, I'm not going to go over all of these, but these are actually the main types of malware. The one that I wanted to focus on, because they are the ones that you're going to see most of the time nowadays. The first one is phishing, right? And when it comes to phishing, just to give you a little bit of an idea of the magnitude of how bad it is. So according to the RSA, Canada was the most frequently targeted country for phishing attacks during the first quarter of 2020. And also the report noted that 66% of the targeted phishing attacks was for Canada. By comparison, the percentage of phishing attacks in the States was only 7% in Q 2020. This is something that most people don't know, but Canada is number one list here for phishing attacks in 2020. In terms of who's launching these attacks, the RSA said the US continues to be the top hosting country, accounting for 60% of the ISP hosting these cyber attacks. Another thing, definitely, we have to talk about COVID anyway. So in March 2020, phishing attacks related to coronavirus went up 667% from the previous month. So this give you an indication that we have to do something. Now, what are the different type of phishing attack? The first one is the mass scale phishing, and that's the most common type of phishing attack, where usually the attacker casts a wide net of attacks that aren't highly targeted, right? And sometimes even they actually sell this in the dark web, right, to the smaller attackers, the newbies that they just started, and they can use these kits to actually just try to target anyone. We have another one, which is the spear phishing. And this one is highly targeted type of phishing attack. It's tailored. So most of the time, the attacker will take his time in the reconnaissance and social engineering and try to find as much information as possible to make it believable and make it easy for him to achieve the objective. Whaling is actually a specialized type of spear phishing that targets a big victim, which is can be a CEO, a CFO, or other executive that it's in the company. So how it works, and here I'm just taking an example here related to the phishing through the email, right? And mainly, you're gonna receive an email. That email, okay, related to your FedEx. Here is a specific attachment that is showing your order, or that it is a document or an Excel sheet that is from your manager, and so on. So most of the time, users fail to understand the social engineering trick and they're going to open the malicious attachment. Once this is happening, the target system is already exploited. There's a rat is installed on the target system. So this is your payload. You have a compromised system now. The rat is used to gain the access to additional system on the internal network. So most probably, if they infected one machine, definitely they are not going to stop there. So now the data is stolen from the compromised machine. The data is going to be used in a stealthy manner by the attacker. The attacker is distribute the emails with the malicious attachment to the targeted user and so on. So sometimes the data that it is being stolen from one business that is partnering with the other business, it is actually not to attack the first one, but to attack the second business, right? So some of the information here that is going to be stolen and used in that way. All right, another favorite, ransomware attack. And I believe that no one wanted to see this screen. And a funny thing that they tell you what is happening and what you can do about it, right? So it is a way for encrypting your data and asking you for money using Bitcoins. And to give you an indication here, this one is from Safety Detectives and it's for 2019, but it will give you an idea that in North America, when it comes to the industry, everyone is a target. It doesn't matter if you are small, large, government, everyone is a target. As you have, these attacker that they are professional and they are trying to attack larger targets, but also you have the newbies and the small attackers that they are trying to attack maybe retail or real estate, hospitality, healthcare, and so on. And to give you also an indication, here is some information that it is being published in the media from Canada. And because no one is safe from ransomware, the first one here, it is in March 2nd, 2020, that it is the data breach from PI ransomware attack that the government documents were posted online following a ransomware attack. Another one here from CBC News, where ransomware attacks locked two Manitoba law firms out of computer system. And I think this is a very scary thing. We all, have lawyers, we have information, and they get actually a record of our lives. So this is very important that such type of companies or organization to have the proper security systems. Another one here from Cybersecurity Insiders, that's in April 18, 2020, that a leading accounting firm that is being hit by cyber attack, right? So what I wanted to pinpoint here, that it doesn't matter what industry, what's the size, you are a target. Now, how ransomware works. The idea is, doesn't matter, it can be a malicious email attachment, an infected pen drive or USB drive, a malicious website. You click on it, then the user is going to be infected by the ransomware. All the data on that PC in the network is going to be locked, and the ransomware demand to unlock your data. You have to pay money, pay it by Bitcoin. And the idea is here, phishing attack is used to actually deliver ransomware as well as the ransomware attack. So at the end, they might actually collect information, enough information, just to be able to launch this ransomware attack. Great. Now let's take a look at the total security components and how they work. This specific slide, it is actually showing all the services and the suites that is available from WatchGuard on their fireboxes. Doesn't matter if it's an appliance, if it is in the cloud or virtual. And you can see in here, if a client or a partner is just looking for a support, then they will have a stateful firewall, a VPN, and SD-WAN. So definitely VPN is one of the tools to encrypt the traffic between two sites or from an end user to the resources, but definitely it is not a secure solution by itself. We have the basic security, which is just to make it simplify it. Basic security, it's security services and features that it is required since we believe in the layered security approach. But it is not good enough by itself, because if you remember that almost 50% of the attacks is zero-day attack, so you will need more services that it is going to protect you against zero-day attacks, such as APT blocker, TDR, DNS Watch, and so on. And we're going to take a look here on focus on the services that it makes sense. Now, the first service that we have in here is IPS, which is Intrusion Prevention System. It's one of the oldest security services that we have in the industry. And the idea is that it's going to examine the traffic at the lowest level, that's going to identify the known threats by matching the traffic patterns to the updated signature database. This is why I said this is one of the features that is going to depend on the database update. If there is a threat, then the firebox is going to take an action based on the policies. And these policies, either they're going to block or notify the administrator if there is an attack. Now, IPS, it uses the signature, and it's going to protect you against network attacks, which is, we already defined them earlier, including spyware, SQL injections, cross-site scripting, and the buffer overflows. Now, one of the things here that I want to say that when you use IPS, there is different types of it, that we have the fast scan, and we have also different type of actions. Most of the time that we will use it on HTTP, HTTPS, FTP, and so on. And it is not recommended to be definitely used on the management of the firewall itself or a streaming protocol to use IPS. The second one that we have here is the application control. And mainly, it's a database that it is updated whenever the operating system is updated, and it's going to control the traffic flowing through the firebox. It enables the IT administrator to monitor and control the access to web and business application to enforce the policies and increase the productivity. So far, these two things, it is not security related, right? It is mainly to increase or improve the productivity. But also you can be using it to protect the networks from potential threat as a result of risky application usage. So if there is, I know exactly what are the type of application that I'll be using, then I can go there and say, this is the only application that is going to be allowed. Web blocker, again, it's mainly to block specific URL categories. We have around 90 different type of categories that is available for you that you can block. And one of the things that you can do in here that it's related to the security, that there is a category called security in web blocker. So even though that sometimes I see that people say, oh, I don't want to block anything, I don't have a policy to block any type of websites, but one of the recommendation is to take a look at this and block, for example, malicious embedded link websites, or phishing in other frauds websites. So it's one of the layers where you can block it before that it will reach to a higher security service. Following thing that we have is the gateway antivirus. So we have the gateway antivirus, and by the way, this database is it's a Bitdefender database, um, and it will scan the traffic, major traffic such as HTTP, FTP, TCP, UDP, all the different type of the email protocols. The email traffic is going to be scanned at the gateway, and it's going to stop the threats before they gain access to the servers that definitely you want to protect. Some of the real-time protection that is used by the gateway antivirus, because we want to protect against viruses, trojans, worms, spyware, and rogueware. So far, we were talking about the signature-based features, right? Now, definitely the next one here is called Advanced Persistent Threat Blocker, the APT. And we saw that it was one on the list of the 10 top that is being seen in Q2. And it requires the gateway antivirus to be running first. So always we're going to take that security layer first, and then it will follow up to this advanced persistent threat. So what is APT blocker? It provides advanced protection against ransomware, zero-day threats, and evolving malware. Some other people, they call it sandboxing, right? So APT, ransomware, and zero-day attacks are designed to recognize the evade traditional defenses. So this is one of the things that people ask, okay, what's the difference between this and the other competitors? That for our APT or the sandboxing, it is being designed to simulate the physical hardware, including the CPU and the memory, because the newer ransomware, if it sees that it's a normal algorithm of just simulating the operating system, it will evade that, it will not stop it. So how it works? And always whenever that I say that something that, okay, it's going to be uploaded to our cloud and scanned, they will ask, okay, what are the steps that is being going to be taken? So first of all, if I have this file that I'm trying to download, right, or an embedded file, the APT blocker will stop it, and it will do some kind of a signature for it, a hash, and it will check in its local cache. Did we see this before or not? If we saw it, definitely we'll take the action. If we didn't, we're going to take a look here at the remote cache. Did anyone else that is using this our firewall, WatchGuard firewall, that's been seen this? If it's not, that's the time that we know that's an indication this is zero-day attack, and we're going to upload the file, right? And the file is going to be scanned, and then that signature is going to be uploaded or downloaded to our firewall. So whenever that we see this again, the file is not going to be uploaded again to the cloud. Great. Now, the next thing that I want to talk about is DNS Watch. And we talked about phishing attack and how that it is Canada is, almost number one when it comes to Q1 in phishing attacks as a target. And DNS Watch, it's going to protect against malicious clickjacking and phishing domains, regardless of the connection type, protocol, or port, because DNS resolution happens. Doesn't matter what type of connection that we have. DNS Watch can block content based on categories and provide the user education to help the users understand how to avoid the threats in the future. So this is an important component that it's already included with DNS Watch. So if we take a look here, if I have an attacker or it's a fisher, fisherman, that is sending this phishing attack through email or through website or social media, and doesn't matter how many times you tell them, please don't click on something that you don't know, they will click it anyway. Happy clickers. Once they click on it, you will notice here on the victim endpoint, and we know that it is actually a phishing attack, we will send the attacker to the black hole, right? And definitely, we will once that the DNS lookup is done, the DNS resolution it happens, and we know that it's a phishing attack, we will send an email alert to the customer or the administrator, right? So definitely, this is one of the steps that you can take to stop the attacks, which is related to phishing attacks. This is just an example of one of these emails that you're going to receive, and definitely for you as an IT administrator or security administrator, you can take a look at it and find, oh, there is a fake domain. They are threatening you. There's spelling mistakes in there. There's grammatical errors. There's a fake email signature. You could actually, as a trained professional, to know that this is fake. But a lot of people, they don't look at it the same way that you do. So this is why we need something to stop this before that it reaches the victim, and also at the same time to educate them. So it's include the training in there as well. Intelligent antivirus is a second layer of antivirus scanning that happens, that it's available after the first one, which is a signature based, that we said that it is powered by Bitdefender. What's the difference? The difference is that the intelligent antivirus, it's going to use machine learning engine to defend against the different type of evolving zero-day malware, right? It is available now. Before that, it wasn't available in the T series. Now it's available in the T series, starting from T40, T80, and definitely it's adding another layer of security to stop zero-day attacks. The next one that I want to talk about here is threat detection and response. And so far, we talked about the gateway security, which is your firewall. This one, it is on the end user side. And mainly there is something called host sensor that you install on the end user devices. And it's a cloud-based component where, since you have this host sensors on the end user devices, laptops, Windows machines, Mac machines, and so on, they are protected. It doesn't matter if they are behind the firewall or not. Even if they are working from home, then you're going to have another layer of security that's protecting them. And it's going to be reporting to the cloud, where you can do the configuration monitoring and reporting from there. Now, why we need this? Because it improves the security against advanced malware attacks, including ransomware. So we talked about phishing attacks, we talked about ransomware, how we can stop ransomware attacks. You have to have something to complement your antivirus that you have, that it will do threat detection and response. It's more about the behavior and what's happening in the end user device. It's going to enable you also to automate the response, including to quarantine the file, to kill the process, delete the registry, and so on. All right. Now, the last thing that I have for you here is some tips of how to enforce your security with WatchGuard solution. So far so good that we talked about the different type of attacks and how we can stop them with the layered security approach, which is using total security. But what else can we do? The first thing here, let's take some statistics. 80% of the users reuse password across accounts. And definitely because we use passwords everywhere, right? From the application, log into our machines, log into our VPN clients. 6% of the internet users use the same password across all the online accounts. So even if somebody got the password from Facebook, that it's you're already using on your SSL VPN. 46% of the employees use personal passwords for the company accounts. So 81% of the data breaches happening due to poor password security. So this is very important. We talked about different type of attacks, what you can do on the different layers when it comes to the gateway security. But if I know that 81% of the data breaches happen because of this password issue, then we need a solution. And since we talked about that, the kill chain, right, and the different levels, different phases that the attacker will go through, why we don't stop them before they actually move on through this process? Okay, so as you can see here, we said that, oh, gathering information like fingerprint or social engineering to find out the password. And to be honest, gathering information nowadays is so easy for them through the dark web. They just pay for it and get these type of passwords, right? So we're gonna put off point here before that they can access your account, move around the system, gain the access, and execute the attack. Right? So we're going to be using multi-factor authentication that's going to help you to keep the assets, information, and user identities secure. Right? We're going to use Authpoint as a multi-factor authentication. This is very important, especially if you have cloud-based applications, you want to use single sign-on, you want to protect your SSL VPN, you have some systems that it's open to public and you want to RDP to it and you want to add another layer of security to it, then you can use Authpoint multi-factor authentication. Since we are talking about attacks, the attack can happen from anywhere. And most of the people that they will actually focus on the end user and they will focus on the firewalls and the wired connections. But what about the wireless? We use the wireless all the time within our environments, especially when we are talking about the office environment here, where we have a building that we have multi-layer building with a lot of networks, and you need something that it has WIPS, which is wireless IPS. We talked about IPS earlier and the importance of it. And it's going to protect you against rogue access points, an evil twin, a neighboring access point that's trying to collect information about you, or sometimes that the end user, they just go to that neighboring access point and come back with viruses and ransomware and so on. Rogue clients, misconfiguration of access point, ad hoc network. So the second tip for you here is to try to use a secure Wi-Fi using Wi-Fi solution from WatchGuard. The last thing that I have for you here is the endpoint security. And this is the latest addition that we have to the WatchGuard family solution. And mainly it's providing you here with multiple components in one. Right? This we have AD360 that it's gonna provide you with endpoint protection, which is your antivirus, and endpoint detection response, which is the EDR technology with machine learning and threat hunting services in under one dashboard. We also have other modules that you can add to it, which is related to forensics, visualization of what's happening into your network when it comes to the attack, applications, performance, productivity, and so on, as well as you can add patch management, which is we talked about one of the ways that they go into your network is using exploits. Right? So why wait? You can use patch management for Windows machines to patch these exploits as soon as you have the patches available for you. Also, we provide module that is related to disk encryption so that you will add another security layer into the profile that you have. Great, so that was it for today's session. I hope that it was useful for you. Mainly here, we talked about the different type of attacks. What are the tools that's available for you, which is use a layered security approach, use total security because 45 to 50% of the attacks, zero-day attack. So IPS by itself, gateway antivirus by itself is not going to be useful. You have to put it in a layer security approach, and you can enhance it by using multi-factor authentication, a wireless secure wireless solution, and much better endpoint security that you can trust. Great. So This was the end of the session. I'm just going to give a minute or two if you have any questions that you want to ask. I know that it was a lot of information for today, and mainly it was discovery of the different type of attacks and how you can use total security to protect your environment. Another thing that I just wanted also to point out that please join us also for the next session that we're going to have next month, where we're going to be talking about content inspection, right? It's one of the important things since 75% of the traffic is HTTPS. So we will see what are the services that it require content inspection or HTTPS decryption. Okay, we have a question here from John. It's related to, do you have any solution for individuals to protect their home systems? Yes, we do. Since now we have the Panda security solution, you can buy a couple of licenses that is related to the endpoint security, which is AD360, which is going to have an antivirus, endpoint protection. You can use it also on a level that you can have patch management with it as well. But again, I see sometimes nowadays that if you work from home and you have like 4 or 5 devices, you can purchase one of the low-end firewalls, or you can implement one in the cloud, because we support the firewall in the clouds as well. Right, so it seems there is no more questions for now. If you do have any other questions, please, reach to me or to any of the sales reps in Canada, and definitely we'll happily answer your questions. Thank you so much, and have a great day.